I'm Chris, and this is episode 7 of Patriot Party News. What the heck is a boogaloo?
Electric Boogaloo, the ultimate show with Kelly, Ozone, and Turbo. Electric Boogaloo is breakdance too. Guess who? Hi. Electric Boogaloo's action dance, the best you'll get. If you like breakdance when you ain't seen nothing yet.
I'll finish you, your friends, and your whole damn neighborhood.
This time there is an enemy, so they must unite. Because to say what you believe in, sometimes you must fight.
You lost your edge.
Try me.
Electric Boogaloo's the greatest, nothing can compete. And once you've seen this movie, you'll believe in the beat. So don't miss it. Breakdance too. If you forget it, you'll regret it. Electric Boogaloo. A Golden Globus production. Another good one from Canon.
Oh man, talk about a masterpiece. Alright, so we're here today to talk about the Boogaloo Boys. And I thought, who's better to tell us about the Boogaloo Boys than one of the Boogaloo Boys themselves? So let's hear what a Boogaloo Boy from the Virginia protests has to say.
Anybody's rights are in danger. And so when it comes to the Second Amendment, we're showing up, showing out as well. So,
I've seen this group in demonstrations before with pro-Trump groups. Are you a pro-Trump group?
no,
How
most
would
of
you
us hate
describe-
most of us hate Trump, but we support the First Amendment for Black Lives Matter, Trumpers, Antifa. It doesn't matter if they're out in their streets peacefully protesting, so be it. That's their right. And we stand by that for anybody. Going good.
How are you feeling about today after the protest yesterday? We were in Lansing. What did you think of the protest?
I think it went really well. I was proud of the boys in Michigan. I was proud of the boys in Ohio. There were some boys in Utah, Oregon, Texas. I was proud of each and every one of them. They're standing up and actually standing out instead of sitting on their couches.
And what was the message from yesterday?
Unity, liberty, freedom. And we're not scared. So the federal government likes to try to scare us. They rolled us up. They've killed us. We've lost members. And we're not scared of them. We're not scared of the FBI. We're not scared of the ATF. We're not scared of DHS. It doesn't matter. Whatever alphabet letter you want to put on it, they're nothing but soup to us. So.
And do you think the struggle is in a new phase after what happened on January 6th?
I think it's definitely progressed a potential revolution.
And are you getting new recruits from people who are disturbed by what happened on January 6th?
We're definitely gathering a lot more interest. A lot of people have walked away from the Trump party. It's like me. I was a 16-year-old kid. I was a diehard Trump fan. I walked away back in the 2019, early 2020, and got a lot of hate for it, but I'm still away. And a lot of people are waking up to the same thing I woke up to, is the fact that we're a police state. Police can do whatever they want, and we're here to say no. Lawmakers can make laws that reach the Constitution, which is supposed to be the supreme call of the land. We're here to say no. So,
And are you worried about law enforcement targeting you or coming after your guys?
all of us are targeted. If you ain't been visited by the FBI, you ain't boog.
Have you,
Not really.
I've been
But-
hearing.
So I've got an article here from The Atlantic, written by Michael J. Mooney. It was last updated on January 15th, 2021. And I'm going to go ahead and read some excerpts from it. The article's pretty good. It seems to be pretty fair, so let's get into this. In the menagerie of right-wing populist groups, the Boogaloo Boys stand out for their fashion, for their great love of memes, and to put it plainly, for their incoherence of their ideology, which is saying a lot, considering that the riot at the Capitol last Wednesday featured partisans from the long-gone country of South Vietnam, Falun Gong adherents, end-times Christians, neo-Nazis, QAnon believers, and a handful of Orthodox Jews, and a Daniel Boone impersonator. So clearly there was a wide variety of people at the Capitol on the 6th. The Boogaloos weren't a huge presence in the mob, but according to federal officials, the attack on the Capitol has galvanized them and could inspire Boogaloo violence in D.C. and around the country between now and Inauguration Day. The FBI warned earlier that Boogaloos could launch attacks in state capitals this Sunday, January 17th. So there weren't any attacks, but there definitely was Boogaloo Boys at the capitals. The Boogaloos don't appear interested in fighting for Donald Trump. They tend to despise him, mostly because they think he panders to the police. But for the past year, Boogaloo Boys all over the United States have been cheering on the country's breakdown, waiting for the moment when their nihilistic memes would come to life, and the country would devolve into bloody chaos. So why don't the Boogaloo Boys like the cops? Well, some people would say that the Boogaloo Boys are extreme libertarians, and a lot of libertarians believe that local police forces are against the law, and that everybody should be policed by county sheriffs because the county sheriff is actually voted for. And they also don't like the fact that police, they hold people accountable to laws that the Boogaloo Boys thinks are against the Constitution. And in many cases there are. I mean, so you could argue that any gun law at all is against the Constitution. And so the Boogaloo Boys hate that. So the police enforce those laws. The Boogaloo Boys hate the police. Anyway, let's continue. It's hard to know how seriously to take the Boogaloo threat. Some are likely just joking when they shitpost about shooting cops or yeeting alphabet boys, killing government law enforcement agents, but others seem serious. They've already shown up heavily armed and in their signature Hawaiian shirts at protests and at state capitals. They've allegedly killed law enforcement officers, talked about throwing Molotov cocktails at cops during the radical justice protests this summer, and plotted to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. They say they want a total reset of society, even if they haven't thought very hard about what exactly that should come next. So who are the Boogaloo Boys, and why do they want to start a civil war? I've spent the past few months trying to figure that out. So let's start with what a Boogaloo isn't. It isn't mainly a white supremacist organization, though there are some white supremacist Boogaloo Boys. It isn't a collection of Trump supporters ready to fight for the president, like, say, the Proud Boys. And despite the various attacks planned and carried out against police officers and government officials, Boogaloo also isn't a militia in any traditional sense of the word. It isn't even really a movement. So everything that I've read just points to the fact that there's a lot of different kinds of Boogaloo Boys, and it's just basically really anybody that is anti-government, right? And they call themselves Boogaloo Boys, and they wear Hawaiian shirts, and sometimes they wear like really funny looking shorts and stuff too. You probably saw them in the video previously. The term Boogaloo, for example, can refer to the purveyors of this culture or to an event, a violent revolution some of them hope to hasten, dubbed Civil War II Electric Boogaloo. The name itself is a takeoff on a pervasive internet joke and an allusion to a 1980s dance movie's Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. Take a moment to pity historians centuries from now as they try to understand how the name of a dance movie sequel turned into the name of a proposed nationwide insurrection. I mean, the fact that that title is funny is the whole point. That they don't want to take themselves too seriously, even though they really feel like their mission is very serious. They seem to enjoy poking fun. So some of the Boogaloo Boys, she told me, are accelerationists, meaning they're looking for any provocation. What an accelerationist is somebody who sees a situation and knows that it's going to pass, but they try to speed that process up, right? So if they see that the United States is in decline or we're having issues, well, why not speed it up? Why not trigger additional violence that'll make the whole process go faster? And there's definitely an argument that that's exactly what the Boogaloo Boys want to do. They're young now. They want to fight now. So if none of this makes much sense, that's the point. They really want to create their own in-world so the rest of us won't get their jokes. It's tribal. These are tribal markings, the shirts they wear, the jargon they speak, even the types of guns they like. Boogaloo culture stepped out of social media and into the real world in January 2020 at a giant pro-gun rally in Richmond, Virginia. The gathering, a response to proposed gun control laws in Virginia state legislature, drew a reported 22,000 Second Amendment supporters. Several came wearing floral print shirts, which stuck out in the crowd and got people wondering who they were. So some of you might remember that Virginia passed a bunch of really strict gun laws, and a bunch of the counties there said that they would never enforce those laws, and they became sanctuary gun counties. So this march that occurred was a result of that. In March, a man in Potomac, Maryland named Duncan Lemp, who was being investigated for firearms violation, was killed by police during a no-knock raid of his parents' house. Lemp was shot one day before Breonna Taylor, and he became a martyr to the Boogaloo Boys. His name was turned into a hashtag and a rallying cry, much like Taylor's. I had never heard of Duncan Lemp's shooting, but that doesn't surprise me. It would never have been in the mainstream news. Aaron Swinson, a 36-year-old from Texas, appears to have been especially moved by Limp's death. He reportedly posted about the killing the next day and changed his profile picture to a photo of a torso wearing Hawaiian shirt and armored vest with the hashtag his name was Duncan. So the Boogaloo Boys have taken some lives. Still others appear to have believed they could use protests to ignite violence. In May, a 32-year-old Air Force staff sergeant named Stephen Carrillo allegedly fired on federal courthouse in Oakland, California, killing one security officer and wounding another. A week later, Carrillo allegedly shot and killed a sheriff's deputy, wounded and on the run. He hijacked a car and before his arrest wrote "Boog" in blood on the hood. Carrillo has pleaded not guilty to multiple charges, including carjacking, murder, and attempted murder. According to an FBI affidavit, on the night of the first shooting, Carrillo was in communication with Ivan Hunter, a 26-year-old from Texas who had driven to Minneapolis apparently to incite violence during the protest there. Wearing a skull mask and tactical gear, Hunter allegedly fired an AK-47 style rifle 13 times at the Minneapolis Police 3rd Precinct while the building was set ablaze. I don't know what an AK-47 style rifle is. I'm going to assume that they meant an AK-47. Even if an overwhelming majority of Boogaloo Boys are just shitposting, at least a few are clearly ready to follow through. I asked McNabb why she thought these men would want to bring about a violent revolution in this country. They want Rome to fall, she said. They want chaos to bring it down. And what do they want to replace it with after the anarchy? If you ask them, she told me, they can't really give you any answers. I mean, I have no idea. The guy that I saw interviewed he seemed like he had some answers, but I don't know who this lady's talking to. I would assume that they would have a plan, but the FBI warning, which was dated December 29, describes nationwide rallies planned for January 17. The bulletin refers to Boogaloo Boys who have shown a willingness to commit violence in support of their ideology and says that Boogaloo Boys in Minnesota went to the State House to perform reconnaissance. They reportedly discussed blowing up a building that police might be able to use as a sniper location in the event of a gun battle. Following the events on the 6th, they tweeted, "Remember what happened today," the tweet reads. "Learn from it. Bring the same energy." It claims that people will be at every American capital as part of the largest armed protest to ever take place on American soil. In the background, behind the text, the faint image of the kind of flower you'd see on a Hawaiian print shirt. Maybe it's a joke, but nobody should be surprised if it's not. So while I was preparing to make this video, I wanted to do a little bit of research on who the Boogaloo Boys were and where you could find information about them. And I kept seeing that they are considered to be far-right extremists. So I really wanted to find out exactly what the term far-right meant and what's the difference between far-right and far-left. So I had to go to the basic left and basic right first so that I could kind of judge it. So I wanted to read to you guys what Wikipedia identifies as left and right. Generally, the left wing is characterized by an emphasis on ideas such as freedom, equality, fraternity, rights, progress, reform, and internationalism. While the right wing is characterized by an emphasis on notions such as authority, hierarchy, order, duty, tradition, reaction, and nationalism. So I guess by that definition, the Boogaloo Boys do apply. They certainly are nationalistic. They definitely are anti-authoritarian. So it's really weird. I don't know if the right and the left really can encapsulate what these guys are. I don't even know if these left and rights mean anything anymore, because the idea of a left-wing person not being an authoritarian, that's kind of a joke. That's definitely in the direction that they've gone. So I'm really worried that this is going to get a lot worse. You see, movements like the Boogaloo Boys believe that all these lockdowns and everything have been really invasive on our personal freedoms, and stories like the one I have pulled up here aren't going to help. You have task force that are assigned with arresting people for having fun. This is like a recruitment tool for the Boogaloo Boys. But it's not just this. The news stories all over from other countries are even worse, and they think that it's only a matter of time before Biden becomes president and brings all that to the United States. to be honest, I don't know if they're wrong or not. I find myself agreeing with a lot of the principles that they stand by, but at the same time, I'm not anti-government. I want to fix our government, and I understand the government plays a role. Now, I believe that the government should be smaller. These guys seem to believe that a government shouldn't exist at all. I don't know. If there's any Boogaloo boys that would like to have a conversation about it and want to do an interview, just reach out. Let me know. All right, guys. That's it for episode 7. I wish I had more material for you. I ended up going to 4chan to find out more about the Boogaloo boys, to try to find some about their meetups and everything. I couldn't really find anything, but I did find out that 4chan is a cesspool. Some of the stuff that's on there is a little ridiculous. So go there at your own risk. Hope everybody has a great day. Please follow us on Gab at gab.com/PatriotPartyNews or Pocketnet.app/PatriotPartyNews. You can find our videos on Rumble and on YouTube, so whichever is your preferred platform. All right, see you next time.